Before we get going, can we give a shout out to all the people who technically made this happen today? Let's hear it for them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you, volunteers.
Absolutely.
I mean,
incredible.
Staff, event staff.
Event staff.
Yeah.
Yes. The person who brought the bowl.
So if you ever see anyone with the event staff T-shirts on out in the world from now on, you just have to go and say huge praise.
So I'm your moderator.
I don't even
today.
have one of those shirts. Do we also? How are we doing on the? How is the stream? It's up. Okay,
it's up.
Good.
Oh God, we're on the air. Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. My name's Ray Porter. I thank you.
Woo.
And I'd like to do some introductions, but Grandma needs her glasses.
No.
So I would like to introduce to you the additional editor, Dody Dorn.
Yay, Dody!
So wave up to everybody over there. You know him, you love him, you can't live without him. VFX supervisor, DesJardin.
DJ. Legend.
Our writer, Chris Terrio.
Yeah.
Our incredible director, Mr. Zack Snyder. My dear friend and a damn fine actor and the soul of this movie, Mr. Ray Fisher.
Yes, it is true.
And we have one final person to announce. Brilliant writer, brilliant director, brilliant actor, and I think the finest Batman I have ever seen, Ben Affleck. Yeah.
I think we have a sharing mics in our small.
There you go. That's we'll share.
I'll let him scream a little.
Thank you very much. That's very nice. I don't exactly understand what you're saying, but it seems positive, so I say thank you.
Positive group. Home team, home crowd.
So I'm meant to kick this off with some questions from the Vero community. I'm going to read those out, and then we're going to I guess, basically open it up to questions, discussion, whatever.
Fair enough.
All right. So this first one is from Matt. This I'm assuming is to Zach, not to me. The work you and Chris Terrio accomplished in BVS and Justice League was simply brilliant. Do you have any plans to collaborate with Terrio again in future projects?
Well, if Chris would have me, of course. It's always a question, just of he's a busy man, so Look, I love Chris more than anything. He's a genius, so yeah, of course I would love to work with Chris anytime he wants.
Well, what's he gonna say? I'm sitting right here. I hate that short little motherfucker. But yeah, of course I collaborate with Zach again. I mean, when we find, of course.
This is from Stephen Mark Monteith. What other new gods characters did you plan to feature in the JL movies? Because I don't like being alone. And how much development would they receive? We saw Granny Goodness, so would we have seen the Furies? What about the other members of Darkseid's family?
Yeah, for sure. All of them. I mean, he had to really get an invasion force together, and I think he was going to get his own.
There was going to be a Christmas album too, right?
Really beautiful.
Yeah.
And a special. Yeah. So, yeah, I think the answer is.
For sure.
Yes. The theories for sure. We talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something here, Zach, which is that I've read chatter about the anti-life equation and, how did Uxas, Darkseid, lose it as though it were his keys. But we would have taken that up in the second episode. You would have understood some apocalyptic betrayals and palace intrigue that would have explained how that all happened. So if ever a miracle happens and more of this story is made, you'll understand more of that, because there was a plan there.
So the last Vero question is from Dylan. It says, Cyborg's vision depicts Kilowog dead at the site of the Hall of Justice, but he's not with the Nightmare League in the sequence at the end. Is this implying the existence of numerous nightmare timelines, with the one we see in JL2 just being the final one where Barry successfully activated the cosmic treadmill to warn Bruce in time? Or was it just something you thought would be cool?
That's pretty fair. It's a pretty fair question. I would say that particular shot, the one in the flash moment where he sort of has all those visions of the future, that one I think is more impressionistic than the actual hard timeline that you see in the final sequence. So I think that's probably the answer, is that he's seen, I would say, a more metaphorical vision of the future than an actual hard reality in that one sequence.
Well, I would like to give the most time to you guys as far as questions and things like that. Now, did we have mics set up, or am I being Phil Donahue literally and running up and down there? Okay, cool. I just have to be me? Oh, God, help us all. Yours was the first hand up, so yes. As long as you can be heard.
Should I stand or sit?
Stand!
So thank you to all the panelists for being here. You've done incredible work. My question is for Chris and Ben. Thank you for being here. So Ben, you were a brilliant Pierre d'Alençon, and you're the best Batman. So just my preface. So your version of Bruce Wayne undergoes this radicalization into this pathological jingoism, and then de-radicalization, to which he then has to navigate the aftermath of what he's done. And then for Chris, your writing in these films is incredibly politically dense and layered. You've got false flag operations, false testimonies as war propaganda. And, I appreciate your advocacy for whistleblowers in the story, given what's happened to other journalists who have told the truth. So for the both of you, how have these big political topics informed your creative process as storytellers in these films?
I'll let you begin then.
So starting off with an easy one. That's cool.
Well, there's a thing that Bruce says in BVS, which is if there's even a 1% chance that he could destroy the world, then we have to treat it as an absolute certainty. And that seemed to be something that was happening in the wars of our time, right? There was this idea that there's an axis of evil, and if there's even a minuscule chance that there's going to be a suitcase nuke in New York City, then we have to treat it as a certainty and we have to make war. So that idea that was going through Bruce's head was informed by everything that we were looking at in the world. And so we self-consciously wanted to ask that question, and then also politically, when you have the character of Kahina Ziri and, intervention in Africa, that's a thing that Superman has done traditionally, right? Superman intervenes, and there are clear good guys and clear bad guys, and then, truth and justice save the day. So that was another thing that we wanted to kind of complicate and say, well, what actually happens when Superman intervenes? It seems like, he's intervening to save Lois, but what other lives are affected? Superman says about the danger to Lois, think of what could have happened. And she says, think of what did, pointing at all the stuff that happened in the village. So that was another, conscious thing. Not to try to make Superman a villain or to say, Superman is wrong, but just to say it's a little more gray and complex than maybe traditionally has been, at least in the films, has traditionally been presented. In some of the comics, there is a lot of shade of gray in Superman and his work.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I love about working with Chris and have since I met him and got to know him, is that he operates as a screenwriter on a lot of different levels simultaneously, where you have a plot story that's very keen and, paced and makes sense, and you have character stories that are connected and compelling and interesting and nuanced. And oftentimes there are thematic corollaries that don't impose themselves and stand out in front of the movie so that it's a screed or that it's didactic, but rather it's kind of marbleized into those two other elements, so that if it's something that you're interested in, if it's something that resonates with you, it works on that level. Additionally, if it's something with which you're about which you're not interested or where it sort of goes by, and yet there's a kind of I've always get the sense with Chris that the plot is sort of if the screenwriter is the cat burglar breaking into the house, the plot is sort of the meat that's thrown to the guard dogs, while the themes kind of break their way into the window, so to speak.
Oh, wow. Way back yonder, black t-shirt. Third row in. This is no good. I need a laser pointer. What is this going on? Raise your hat up in the air. You had a hat in your hand?
Yeah, the one with the cryptic symbolism on it.
Yes, sir. There's a microphone nearby.
Oh, yeah, that's Superman.
Yeah. Is there no mic over there? Oh, dear.
It's a black shirt.
How loud can you be?
Listen, that's a good question. I think it's fair and it's exciting. And look, I love the world. And obviously, I've not put a small amount of effort into this, mythology. And, we have done, not also a small amount of work toward what the eventualities of these scenarios might be. As far as, I've had an amazingly, my experience with you guys and with this material has been incredibly satisfying, and I couldn't be happier with the way that you guys have been able to dig in. We always talk about if you want to go deep on these movies and on this mythology, it's there for you, right? And so, yes, would I be interested in whatever medium or whatever way these ideas would continue? Of course I would. But yeah. And in the meantime, we forge ahead and we do what we do. And so, like that. But yes, thank you. But I love this world and I love these guys that I've gotten to do this with. And, it's been amazing. So thank you.
The jumping up and down. Yeah, there is a mic down here. Come down.
I've got a good question.
I got a good question.
Can we judge the
question?
As
opposed to what?
have one question, and Ben Affleck, you're the greatest Batman ever. Mr. Snyder, looking at that post-credit scene with, Deadshot, what was the plan for Batman's Ben Affleck for that story?
There was a whole elaborate plan, which would take up too much time now, and some of which I may have forgotten. But I always liked that character and talked to Zack about that, and I think there's my plan for continuing on in this character. At a certain point, I got to and kind of found that I thought I wasn't really, I just felt like, well, I wasn't quite sure if it worked or jibed. And I felt like if you have a character like this and you kind of take that on, you want to go forward, you better really be sure and understand it and be confident. And certainly as a director, you kind of have to be the last person interested in the movie when everyone else is really bored and doesn't want to watch it again and is sick of it, exhausted by the whole process. And I have held myself to this kind of metric where if I'm not really sure I see the precise location on target that I want to hit, I'm not sure I can hit it, but I want to at least know exactly what I'm aiming for. But there's, as all of you have kind of mentioned, there's a spectacular array of characters in this universe. And also I think, they are ultimately like, I know that we sort of become like attached to them as exist in these particular forms, but I think of watching Zack stuff and whatever he does, I find interesting and enjoy this kind of manifestation of his work and his art. And with Chris, you see people's, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be wearing one face to tell an interesting story. There are certainly, a response to this gentleman's question, there are a lot of different ways to do that. And so I don't get too wrapped up and like fixated on that one thing, or at least that's the way I soothe myself.
Also, I want to point out that, you have, this is such a brilliant visual film, and the pacing of it and the tempo of it and everything is so incredible. And we have DJ here and we have Dody here. Does anyone have questions for them? Yes, here in the white shirt. Loud.
I could defer.
I'm sure they have.
What did I just say?
Though.
All right, yes. Here. No, it won't stretch. You're going to have to just be loud. Oh, you're coming through.
Hello, guys. Oh my gosh, this is cool. Zack, how close are we, and will we ever be able to get to see that Jon Stewart Green Lantern deleted scene?
Well, would I ever be able to, listen, I don't have it right now. There was a, property was returned. But it does exist. If you won't say anything, that's cool. I know you won't. Of course, wow, it's only live. Turn off the cameras. But, so, I would have to say, look, I think just me saying Wayne did an amazing job in the little scene, and I really love him. And it was nice of him to come over to the house and shoot it with me. And he's an amazing actor. And so,
he is.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. But yeah, as far as seeing it is, I don't know when that will ever happen. But, never say never. So of course I already have it.
Yeah, I will try to. Oh, there's a mic over there now. Fantastic. Make your way over to the microphones if you like. So just, yes, you right there. Yes. Do you want to get on the mic or no? Okay, not loud, but you were partying last night. I'm supposed to repeat everything, right? Well, come on.
So this is an editing question because, like you were saying, the pacing on this goes wild. In more ways, you have these incredibly somber moments that you sort of let play out, and then you have flash sequences that do these various crazy some odd things. So from an editing perspective, what was sort of going through your head in order to sort of evoke various emotions of whether it's excitement or these crazy applause moments that you'll get from the entire crowd?
It's a great question. Yeah. So the question was about the editing and to like, What's like going to make it really evocative, essentially, within, yes.
Yeah, it's actually both of us.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that sequence especially that he's talking about, I mean, the Flash running back time sequence you're talking about is per se, or whatever. Across the board.
Our inspiration was Cher, right?
Mostly.
Yeah. If you can turn back
time, you guys have heard the song.
That's what I thought. There, go, Dody.
Well, no, I have to say, and Ray introduced me as the additional editor because I was standing on the shoulders of a very great editor, David Brenner, and amazing man. And then we had Carlos Castillon, keeping it safe and warm for the time when Zach was away from the project, and I was lucky enough to come on and be the one to help realize his unicorn, bring it, let it get born. So many of the scenes were already formed when I came on, and I mainly worked with that material, and that's why I was trying to throw it to DJ, because that particular scene already existed when I came on, the time warp scene.
But the time warp.
Amazing.
Well, the time warp.
Amazing.
Okay. I agree. It's amazing. But my memory is it existed because, can I say that? Because we made it exist alongside
it wasn't
a version of the movie where it didn't exist.
It wasn't supposed to exist. Like, of course, we had a big, argument. There was a time when, the discussion of whether or not to have Flash run time back was a big, the studio didn't want to do that bit. There was but anyway, so it was difficult. We had to manufacture, it was almost one of these things where I had said, look, let me show you it and it'll be cool. And you guys are going to want to do it. And they said, okay, cool. And, well, they
were confused.
that they were confused. Yeah, there was a lot of confusion. But regardless, I mean, I think the good news is that luckily we had shot enough material of Ezra running on the treadmill and doing his thing and, saying those lines about, Dad, I'm one of them, that whole thing. We had that and thank God we did, because there was no way we could have manufactured that, but it was good that we had.
And we post-viz the whole thing for you, so that's what you got when you came onto it.
Right, yeah, and I have to say, it's very, very emotional material, so we let it play as emotional, which is an interesting thing to create something so emotional in the middle of an action beat, because it is an action beat, but you have to let the sound go away and let the voice be the dominant thing with the music, and that was what we were doing. Oh, does that mean time's up? Oh.
Yeah. The bar is closing, I guess, right?
I'll have a double martini.
Yeah, we got to be careful because Super Mario's coming in here any second, so we got to be ready. Yeah, thank God.
Exactly. Right. I have paid no love to this side of the room. Well, God. Pesky thing. Gentleman right there, yes.
When you came down to the Joker and Batman scene,
I cut that.
I wanted to know what was going to happen when it came down to the Joker, because when you released a couple of pictures, he had a crown of thorns, and I feel like you were going to go in the direction of maybe sacrificing himself like Christ. And I just want to know.
That's cool.
What direction were you heading when it came to that?
You're not talking about the Jesus Batman, just Batman, or the Jesus Joker, just Joker in general.
Yeah, is he going to end up sacrificing himself? Where was that direction with the nightmare scene?
Yeah, no, there was these guys were on a mission. It was a kind of a mission movie moment or beginning of where it was like a buddy picture, where the two protagonists were at odds and they had to work out their differences over their travels across the country. No, I mean, in a way, that's what you could see. In some ways, that's what they're on about. They're on this little journey. And I guess, for me, one of the reasons why I wanted to do that scene was because I felt like, I was really happy with the way that these two guys, that Batman and Joker in that scene, and it's only a little taste. I just felt like it was rude for us to have gone through this entire sort of DC universe with the two characters that should be, with each other at odds, I guess, having not really coexisted on film in that way. And I had in my mind wanted that to be part of the movies as they went forward. And I just really felt like this scene was important, for this universe. And Ben was gracious enough to come and do it, and Jared put on the cape one more time. Oh my God! And then Jared also, was awesome, and it took some convincing, but was really it was really fun. It was fun to do the bit,
Yes, you had one. Here.
Oh, thank you.
I'll sit down.
Yeah, just so you know.
Hello, everyone. My question's for everyone in this panel, including our gracious host. My name is Carlos, and I just want to say thank you all for doing this. The foundation we're supporting, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, that's a battle I've struggled with personally. And these movies, the stories you've directed, the characters you've emboweled, the things you've written, edited, and just being a part of in general, it gives hope to so many people, way more than just this theater of loving fans. These stories speak to us, and even though we can't fly, we can fight, no matter who we are. And I just wanted to ask you guys on a personal level, for every one of you, it could be a sentence answer. On a personal level, how do you feel knowing that you're part of something that gives hope to so many people that really need it?
It's the greatest honor of my life to be here, to be a part of this, to be included in this, to be a few people's nightmares and all of that sort of thing. It is and has been and will continue to be just absolutely the greatest honor. And I buy every T-shirt that ever comes up for AFSP, and I hope you do too.
I guess for me, we do these things, we make this giant thing, but then to have it have, and I've had the pleasure of having like a lot of, interactions with people who I get to hear their stories and get to understand what they've gone through, just like, has it impacted our families. And, so that sharing for me is incredibly moving and really lets me know that there is not only is there work to be done, of course, but being proud of the work that we are doing and the progress that we are making. There's always it's a hope thing, and I think and I think that is that for me is incredible, again, amazing honor. And I love that you guys enjoy the movie, and then I feel like it's the smallest thing I can do for, because I really, love the outreach that everyone gives, and it's amazing.
I can take both mics. To mimic what's been said, it's an honor. It is, and it's also a great responsibility. I think, for me, I've learned a lot from playing this character. I learned a lot from the people that have supported this film. It's the culminating phrase that I think encapsulates it best is, I'm not broken and I'm not alone. And in myriad ways, you guys have shown me and one another that you are not alone, and that anything is possible when you put the collective together to go ahead and tackle a problem. And so for anybody out there struggling, For those of you who are struggling now, for those of you who struggled in the past, for those of you who may know somebody who is going through it, just please do your best to iterate and reiterate to them that they are not broken and they are not alone. And make sure that you direct them to the resources like the AFSP that exist out there. Thank you for everything you guys have done.
Thank you very much for what you said. I have a lot of admiration and respect for the bravery it takes and sense of self to stand up and talk openly. I think that's extremely helpful and good. And thank you. And both any association with an effort like this is an honor, certainly. And I kind of similar way, I could sort of look at my own life, in a lot of different ways, but the truth is, I'm old now, right? And I've done 55 or 60 movies. But the movie the character that people most commonly approach me about in my own first-person experience is undeniable as this character in these movies. And it clearly has an enormous reach and impact on people. It means a great deal to people. And that's, I think the only appropriate reaction to that is a sort of gratitude and humility. The gratitude that I owe Zach for bringing me into this project, for Chris, what he wrote, Ray, and everyone who worked on this, and to the fans who, without whom it doesn't come to life. And I appreciate and hope it's true that these kind of fables, these stories, that can in ways, sometimes we're not even aware of, be moving and meaningful to people. And if that's the case, I would just say I'm humbled.
Well, first, thanks for being so candid about that. Because I relate very deeply to everything you're saying. In this film, every single one of the major characters is dealing with loss. Everyone, Lois, Martha, Diana, Arthur, Barry, Bruce, and so that became the important heart of the film, of how to take in loss, take in the darkness that's trying to pull you down, and to answer affirmatively and to fight back, fight back against it. So all those things, I'm grateful if anyone feels them, because they were deeply felt on the end of us who are making it. I mean, you can't make a movie that has emotion in it unless you have sat alone with those characters and with those thoughts and figured out some of that stuff for yourself. So it makes me really happy if it lands anywhere. So thank you.
I guess for me, I just feel lucky to be asked by my friends Zach and Deb to be a part of this, and the whole journey getting to the end of the Zack Snyder Justice League cut and the effort of that work. It's very emotional, cathartic. I wish we could do more, because I think there's a lot of story left to tell. But the thing that I kind of take with me is, and everybody's efforts through this organization, is it's my first time yesterday being on the panel and meeting a lot of you afterwards. And I'm inspired by you guys being inspired by what we've done. I think it's, like Ben said, it's a very humbling thing and something that I think was unexpected for me as a personal note. So thanks everybody for paying attention.
What they said. But yes, go ahead. I one of the things that I was doing was restoring a lot of things for Zack that were very important to him in the film, and I keep coming back to the concept of life affirming and acceptance, and the scene with Wonder Woman where the little girl after the explosion says, I want to be like you when I grow up, and she says, you can be anything you want to be. And that concept is something that comes through in everything that Zack does. It's very, very life affirming. And for me as a collaborator, it was very exciting to be in Zack's orbit and then notice all these badass women all around him. Badass characters, badass producers, badass first ADs, all women who are just embraced by him and really a huge part of the process. And I feel fortunate to be one of those half badass women.
Full badass. Full badass. Half badass. That's funny.
Appreciate you guys.
See somebody there with a red hat.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing this. Is it a pink shirt? I don't want to offend.
Wonder Woman. It's Wonder Woman.
Oh, hello. Yes, please. Loud or get on a mic. Ben.
Thank you very much. There were a number of them that I was kind of exploring, and the plans were to, make interesting, nuanced, complex characters, and in particular the character you mentioned. And I didn't really, I kind of feel like either you do, I'm just going to get into my own preference here, but either you do like a kind of massive, kind of one villain that is so formidable, you just can't imagine how it is that your protagonist is going to be able to overcome it, or you have to sort of really populate kind of the Injustice League, these big group villains where you get to have all these different characters. So I was at the time really trying to kind of hone in and focus on that character and get into depth and detail about it to make him seem as impressive as I felt like there was the opportunity to do. And that's the only detail I have for you.
Way back in the back there, in the back corner. Is that that corner, back corner? MC. Yes, hello, you. Yes, hi. I think a mic is probably a good idea. Yeah.
Hi, Zach. I'm Christian, and I'm the Art Center student in film. This is a question for you. If you could go back and give your younger self advice, what would it be?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Yeah, no, I got it. He said, what would I do if I went back and met my younger, what would the advice I would give to my younger self? Like my art center self?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, look, I have no regrets, and I feel like everything's gone, the experiences I've had, and it's hard to say like, if you did this, everything would go much better. And yet, I'm sure there's advice I could give to my younger self that would make things be smoother sometimes. But the bumps are what make you kind of who you are, and so you need it. So it's hard to the idea of telling yourself to do something different is kind of then you're not you. But I would say though, but just as advice, for a young film student, of course, my advice is, you are the thing. Your point of view is the commodity that you have. The way you see is that no one else has that but you. And so, however you exercise that, do it to its fullest. Don't be afraid of it. Don't shy away from it. If you think it's weird, doesn't matter. It's cool. So that to me is the thing I always say. You're the only you there is. So I want to see what you do.
In the waving, is that a black jacket back there? That'll be you. Yes. Loud as you can.
Or maybe that's enough.
Yeah. A couple of show tunes, contrasting monologue. Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know.
It's not on.
Shout it. Nope. Shout it. Oh, now you're on.
So he did didn't have a question. It was right.
No question at all.
Yes, hand that to our friend over there. Yeah, there you go. Good job.
Okay, does anybody not have any job-related?
Excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any work. We're about to go on strike.
Oh, this is so rough. I'm trying to be like equal. What do we got here? Waving furiously in the white in the center in the back there. Yes.
Waving furiously.
This is a question for Ray Fisher. Considering DVS and Zack Snyder's Justice League was amongst one of your first film roles, how did you feel as an actor, like tackling such like a large project with a bunch of, well, needless to say, much more experienced actors? Or were you just ready to go with like no fear?
Let me take one of these. I felt really welcomed and really invited pretty early on in the process. I knew things were going to go swimmingly when I showed up for my test for BVS in Detroit. It was around Easter, and I hop out of the SUV, and I'm a little bit nervous, right? It's my first test for anything, really. And I hear a voice behind me go, "Ray!" I turn around, and it's Zach, and I go, "Yo, Zach!" And we just take this elevator ride up, and I'm just like, oh, this is a dude like me. Okay, cool. We chopped it up about comic books, granny goodness, all the like nuances of like really just silly and geeky stuff. And I was like, I feel like I'm amongst my people, if that makes any sense. And so by the time we got into filming for BVS, Zach, he was like, "Hey, you want to see what we're shooting today?" I was like, "Yeah, cool." And so I ended up meeting Ben during that sequence where they were, was it the graveyard sequence where the bat pops out of the mausoleum?
Oh, right.
They were filming that. And so I ended up getting to meet a lot of folks before we even got to set together. So it ended up taking a lot of the edge off for me because I'm like, oh, I meet Jason for the first time. He picks me up and he just bear hugs me. And I'm like, okay, all right. That's this guy. All right. Got to meet Gull. Got to meet everybody except for Henry beforehand. But, I will say across the board, everybody was really welcoming, really gracious, and just really excited to be there and get the work done. And I think it all trickles down from the top, just in how those environments get established. So, long answer short, I felt more than ready, because, folks believed in me to do the job that I was there to do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sir, right here. Loud as you can.
But I think it's more for DJ. What challenges did the Batmobile sequence shooting the parademons? What challenges did that present to you and the whole team?
Question for DJ. What were the challenges with the Batmobile shooting the parademons? What kind of challenges did that present?
Well, I mean, in some ways it was easier than in BBS because in BBS, Patrick's Batmobile could actually drive around and do stuff for real. So we were anchored with a lot of reality there, but we couldn't go to Pajarnoff because we were in London shooting. So that ended up being pretty much a virtual sequence, except for some stuff that we shot with Ben in the cockpit of the thing. And when Jason Momoa jumped off of the Batmobile and yelled out loud, "Momoa," as he jumped into the stunt path. I never forget. So yeah, it was.
That's not in the movie, by the way.
Yeah. So
we should have kept it at least.
And also too, I think, we labored forever actually we were doing pre-production on that sequence while we were shooting, so it was really difficult, but we labored forever on how to get all those major beats right for that chase. And, there's just a lot of previs for it, and that rolled right into a lot of virtual production right away. So it was very challenging to make it look real, but, I'm satisfied with the way it came out because it's pretty fun.
Yeah, just this shot, just a little sequence alone of shooting the smokestack and it falling over, and then how to roll and crush all the parademons, and the Batmobile has to skid around and face backwards. It was a
simple things.
It was a lot of it was constantly, I was like, oh no, then it ends up going backwards. Okay, that's cool because now he's pointing backwards and you can shoot the rest of the parademons there today. Yeah, it was a little bit of that. Did we have a model or anything? I thought we had a little model, but maybe we didn't. Oh no, it's me.
Yes. And like, as loud as you can, okay?
Hi, Zach. My name's Zach as well.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good name.
Oh, that's kind. At
Dawn
Dawn of the Dead again? Oh, another one. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Oh, that's nice. By the way, I love that movie. That's one of my favorites. I love Peckinpah. You know, he's one of my film heroes. Wild Bunch is a great movie. I think they did recently do a remake of The Wild Bunch. Did they not?
I don't think it's. Did it come out?
Is it still? Is it still?
It was.
Oh, so maybe they haven't done it. So yeah, we'll look into it. I'll ask them.
Have you thought about Toxic Avenger?
Yeah, oh, nice.
Zach, you could remake The Godfather.
Remake the God. I'm hearing some amazing things over here. Yes, standing there like the Statue of Liberty. Yes, sir. Yeah, right on. Hey, Justin.
Hey, Justin.
Obviously, it was very convincing. This part is a unique part because, so many excellent actors have played it and filmmakers have done it, and the mythology extends all the way, down through decades after decades from this, the Adam West TV series and, the cartoons and stuff on up to it's really, amazing, films and art about it. So it's much more daunting in a way than because the other stuff you do, anything else you do, if you're doing it for the first time, there's nothing else to hold you up against, compare you to, there are no expectations. You have the liberty of just going out there and sort of defining it for better or for worse when people see it. There's a double-edged sword with a part like this because you have a lot of tailwind and a lot of people have a lot of goodwill and enthusiasm around these characters that have existed in our culture for a long time, but also they have a lot of expectations. So I definitely spent a lot of time sort of thinking about it and angsting about it, but all the performances that I ended up being able to sleep at night around it came down to actually sort of what Ray said. And, Zach creates an extremely comfortable, fluid atmosphere. And I think for me as a director, that's the most important thing that I try to do. I don't think I can succeed or actors can't succeed without that, or at least they can't be as good as they can possibly be. And Zach is as good as anybody, if not better, that I've ever worked with at creating that environment, which is extremely important to feel like you're welcome to succeed. So it took away a lot of the thought, because the thing about preparation is they say you just have to, you do it and then you have to throw it away. And the throwing it away is so that it seems lifelike, obviously natural and kind of lived in. And Zach made it easy for me to do that. So thank you.
I will say, as an actor, having a safe space to play in is really important, and I experienced that not only with Zach, but you won't remember this, Ben, but you directed me in Argo.
How could I forget?
I'm the PA that brings in John Goodman.
Yes.
And even that tiny role, I felt like I had room to play. So thank you.
Oh, that's good. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Now they're having time to think of stuff.
Now they've had time. Yeah, exactly. Okay, if you were on a desert island, right. Oh my God, this Zach, what do I do, man?
What do you mean? What's wrong?
Who do I pick? Red cap in the back.
You're the master of ceremonies.
Oh, right.
Oh,
damn.
red cap.
Just first of all, thank you for everybody being here.
Great voice.
I think a lot of you guys can touch on this. I'm super interested in Zach's casting process. You look at Ray, and, a little less experience, but he did a phenomenal job as Cyborg. And then right next to him is one of the greatest actors to ever touch Earth.
Too kind.
Zach, maybe Chris, you can touch on this in your relationship with the actors.
I mean, for me, I have a real, I don't know. It's been my experience that I just go like, I pretty quickly am like, oh yeah, that's the person. Like, that's the guy. Get that guy. Or like, I see a casting tape and I'm like, yeah, that's right. And I feel like my gut is probably the best. And I know that's stupid. Like, oh, my gut instincts are like, anyway, I know, but it's not really very helpful for anyone else. But yeah, I mean, I feel like, the casting in this movie, just, I think across the board, these guys have done, obviously, even just we forget that like at the time, that that we put the movie together, pretty much, these guys, like, Ezra, I just was like, Ezra's cool. I just want Ezra to be the Flash. It's like that was kind of how I did it. Like Gal, I was like, oh, Gal, we tested a bunch of different actresses and Gal was just, and from the beginning, I was like, I want Gal. And they were like, okay, well, we should do, we need to see a bunch of people because, it's like a big part is Wonder Woman and she's not like super big star or anything. And I was like, okay, well, I just feel like it's right. And then we tested her with Ben. They did a little scene and I was like, see, actually, what's cool is I looked at it the other day. There's like in the little video that we did in the little audition. I don't know if you remember this, but Ben, at the end of the take, it was a one shot too. It was like over him. It was like we did it because whenever you do because it was before the film was made and you don't want to expose yourself to the studio too much, right? And you don't want him to say like, oh, is this what it's going to look like? I don't like this. And I'm like, it's not about that. We're just trying to do an audition. It's like any chance for them to not comment on anything but the thing you want them to comment on. You try to do that. So I was like, okay, we'll do this as one take, even though it's like starts out as a 2-shot. And it was in the little scene, it's like, Gal's Wonder Woman is waiting for Bruce Wayne and he's walking down a street. We shot it all on like a sort of fake set. It didn't look like a street, but it was like, there's some cars parked around and whatever. And then he would walk up and it was a 2-shot and then it was a tight 2 and then it turned into an over. And it was just the sort of a single on Gal. And they were kind of talking about like, you got to stop drinking and all this like really intense stuff. And like, what's the matter with you, Bruce? And blah, blah. She was really going at him. And at the end of the take, and the one good one, cause it's on over Ben's shoulder like this and Gal was here. And at the end of the take, he turns around and looks in the camera. He's like, okay. Like, I don't think we have to do this anymore. And it was cool because like that's and of course the reaction was so clean that like I left it in for the studio. So they were like, oh.
As an unwitting accomplice.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember that's the only time that's ever happened to me where I was like, that's obvious.
Yeah, like what are we doing? Yeah.
There's nothing else.
Can I go home now?
I've done that with a bunch of people.
Yeah. No, it was cool. It was really cool. But like, and I think that those things, I guess for me, it's like there is, and it's impossible to say. I mean, it was just like, when we were talking about, Christina Wren, during Man of Steel, I was like literally watching TV. I saw this hummus commercial. I'm like, that girl, I want that girl in the movie. So we had to track her down and like find her. But I think that, I don't know. It seems, I don't know how, but it just.
An instinct. I mean, I think that what Zach's like maybe humble to say is that there's it's taste, right? Like, but those have told me about directing, and I always heard before I directed, there's like not, the adage is, directing is 90% casting. And I was skeptical of that, and as years have gone by, I've become more and more convinced of it. And it is as you look at all these actors who Zach cast and how good they are and what they've gone on to do, it's a testament to Zach's taste. And his taste is very, as he says, intuitive. I don't know if you can learn it or teach it. He has a feeling. It's sort of what being like a filmmaker with a point of view is. As soon as he sees that thing, it bounces off him. It's very wonderful to work with somebody who's not clouded by a bunch of other thoughts or opinions or what are people going to say or what are they going to do or what are they going to say, or how many followers they have, whatever it is, immediately, And that's, he knows, and he has an opinion and a strong one, and that's kind of what you want as an actor, very much. Whether it's good or bad, like, are we doing this or are we doing that? You want me for the movie or you don't? You know what I mean? Both are fine. I just want to know. Let's not do 15 auditions, you know what I mean? And do a whole circus. And that's one of the beautiful things about Zack and his process is that he is, works by instinct and decisive and absolutely self-assured of that. And it's a very calming thing to have in a director go, okay, he knows where we're going, so I'm going to follow him.
Wow. Blue shirt right there waving both arms. Is this going to be the last one?
Guys, this is going to be the last one.
This is going to be the last question, guys. I'm so
Super Mario,
sorry.
you guys could stay for Super Mario. You can't actually stay.
They are throwing us out for Mario. So after this, it's going to be Ready the Armada. All right, so go for it.
I think he's dead. I love him, but I don't think he made it. He put up a great fight, though. It was awesome. Wait till you see DJ's previs of that. It's amazing. It's really, Mike, it's on a small scale, but it's incredible. One more, give him one more, quick.
One more, quick, fast.
The guy,
yeah. Behind the camera, yeah, go.
Dody.
That's what by the way, that's what Siri calls her when I ask Siri to go.
Oh, well, okay. First of all, working on an action sequence for Zack is completely different because it is so well choreographed in advance, and his stunt team actually shoots their version of the entire scene and gives it to me before I even have the dailies of the scene. So it's a very, very intricate process that they do, and I'm just trying to better them. So, I'm assuming that's okay to say how well.
That's what we hope for.
Yeah, how well thought out it is in advance. But without that, barring that, I just take every single take and take a shot is probably a minute or less long, and I cut it down to the tiniest little piece that is usable from everyone, and I just press play and sit back and find the one that hits me the most, and then I put them all together. I mean, it's pretty much that. I don't want to say simple, but that's the process. And then afterwards, once it's all together, then it kind of, you can throw the cards up in the air again a little bit if you want, but usually it's very much, a lot of people think cutting action is easier than cutting dialogue scenes for good reason.
There you have it.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Again, thank you guys so much for coming out. I appreciate your support, and we love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.